There's a trial electrical apprentice model that's been announced today, and this one is going to be based on apparently individual competency rather than the structured 4-year model that's been used for a lot of apprenticeships over the years. To explain a little bit more of what this all means and how it's all supposed to work, Bob Taylor. Bob Taylor is the CEO of Oz Training Standards Australia, and with us, Bob Taylor, good afternoon to you.
Hello, Steve. How are you going?
Very well. Can you explain what has been announced by the Skills Minister, Chris Evans?
Yes, it's a program that's looking at evolving electrical apprenticeships, particularly our electrotechnology electricians program, into a program that's based on the competency of the apprentice, rather than time-based, which is the traditional form of our apprenticeship.
Okay, so if someone's really clever and picks it up really quickly, they could, in theory, complete the apprenticeship period in half the time if they meet the skills.
Yeah, I think you have to put a qualifier on that. At the end of the day, people will progress based on their rate, and if they're twice as clever as somebody else, they will finish in an accelerated time. But really, the whole idea is to give the individual the chance to be competent at their own pace, and also to be able to be productive to the industry at the end of the day.
Why do we need to do this? Why do we need to change the system?
Well, if you look at the old apprenticeship system, it's been based on a system that probably went back, probably for our trades, around about 100 years. And the old-time indentures, if you like, were 13, 14, 15-year-old, mainly boys, who were indentured to a boss, a bit like a slave contract, if you like. They were actually indentured to the boss until that time of the indenture was served, and no matter what progression that person made, they were tied to that boss for that time. Now, obviously, the demographic of our, particularly our age demographic of our apprentices are around about 22, 23. I think over a third of our apprentices now are over the age of 21, and that model really has been left in the wake of society's change.
As far as mature-aged apprenticeships, is this going to make it easier for people who are perhaps older than those ages you just gave us to go back and retrain? Yes,
it will, because part of this program is to have a readiness assessment, so people are actually assessed before they start, so that they can be assessed whether they have a good chance of succeeding in this apprenticeship. If they can't, there's a pathway for people to go and take remedial work to get to that benchmark. But once they've reached the benchmark and they have an employer, they can start this apprenticeship. And that benchmark really is set by the industry, and it'll allow people the tools to be able to succeed rather than drop out of the apprenticeship system.
So there is confidence that this system will address that issue of dropouts, because a lot of people start apprenticeships and a lot of them don't finish.
Yeah, that's really our aim, is to make sure that people are given a chance to pass and be competent. If you look at our statistics for our industry, out of 100 apprentices, 62 are successful and 38 aren't. Now, that's a huge cost to the nation and also to the individual. We're trying to say, let's get the tools right to begin. Let's make sure the apprenticeship is achievable, but also provide all the support that goes with that. That includes a mentor or a person who's going to look after their interests through the apprenticeship, as well as the employer and the registered training organisation's interest.
Bob Taylor, stay with me for a moment. Bob Taylor is the CEO of Oz Training Standards Australia. Wes McKnight is the president of the National Electrical and Communication Association and runs his own electrical contractors business. Wes McKnight, good afternoon to you.
G'day, Steve. How are you?
Very well. Wes, what do you make of this new system? Do we need it?
Oh, look, anything, the sort of investment government's made into our industry, we welcome considerably, Steve. Yeah, look, in some respects, it is definitely needed. We're hesitant to see the final program. We want to make sure that if people are coming out in 2 years or 3 years, as the potential might be, that they have got the adequate safety training to go with it. But Look, if we can get kids through at a higher rate, as Bob mentioned, those statistics are critical to us. We spend a lot of time training apprentices, and if they can't get through, it's a lot of money wasted. We're very supportive at NECA, and the industry is very supportive of the aspect of getting our completion rates much, much higher. We base the competency idea of training around the fact that it could speed up some people getting through, but on the other side, which we probably haven't spent much time, it may take people longer if we allow them to go at their own pace. So we look forward to seeing a few more details, Steve. It's a great program. I was with Bob last Friday when we announced it to the industry with the Minister, and we're looking forward to a big couple of years getting this program implemented.
As far as the accreditation system, this is going through registered training organisations, is that correct, Wes?
Yeah, that's correct. We've got NECA's involved in the mentoring, as Bob mentioned. Bob's assisting NECA in providing mentors throughout the state, and we're going to assist those kids all the way through, or I shouldn't say kids, as I've mentioned, they're 22, 23-year-olds, some of these people, through the trade, and hopefully don't lose them from the trade. But we'll, we're looking forward to those aspects, and they will be run through RTOs. Local Ballarat University will have apprentices running through there. There's RTOs all up through the Wimmera that train electricians, Steve, all through your listening audience, and they'll be able to access this program via those schools.
Now, you're regionally based, Wes, effectively. I just wonder if there's benefits in this for listeners to us, regional Victoria, as opposed to the city-based sort of businesses and apprenticeships. Is there any extra benefit in this for us in Country Vic?
Oh, look, I think it's vastly more important. A lot of the big benefits to the pass rates in past have been from group training companies. And group training companies effectively operate in the larger regional areas and the major cities. Now, the apprentices that come through group training companies have a much higher rate of progression than apprentices that are engaged directly for electrical contractors, which tends to happen far more the further out from the major cities you go. Now, those completion rates at that point are a lot lower. Now, with the assistance of Bob's organisation, NECA is going to have mentors out in the entire state that is going to look after and try and be a third party for those apprentices to engage with them, to make sure there's no problems, to keep them in the trade and keep them interested and assist them all the way through. So most definitely it has a heck of a lot of assistance for our area, Steve, and particularly further out.
All right. Wes, thank you for your time. Also, Wes McKnight, President of the National Electrical and Communications Association. Peter Hall is the Victorian Minister for Higher Education and Skills, and with us. Peter Hall, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Steve.
Minister, what's your reaction? This is announced by the Skills Minister federally, Chris Evans, and on a state level, you happy with this?
Yes, we've generally supported competency-based assessment for a long period of time in Victoria now. And I think, as Wes rightly pointed out, the key element of this is to ensure that those assessments are undertaken in a thorough and proper way. Electrical is a very important industry to Victoria. We have something like 6,500 electrical apprentices in any 1 year training, and where there is opportunity to accelerate that training by measurement of outcomes rather than inputs, I think generally that's a good thing.
Who polices the RTOs? Is that state or federal?
The RTOs are registered in some cases with the state-based authority, the VRQA, but most of the providers would operate beyond state borders, so that's ASQA, is the federal regulatory body. And so there is a responsibility to make sure that those assessments of competency that are undertaken are thorough and there is no corners taken.
Should this not be done in TAFEs?
TAFEs are participants in this, as I understand. So TAFEs already conduct recognition of prior learning for a number of apprentices and trainee areas, and I understand that this particular program will encompass both TAFEs and also group training companies being part of the assessment. So generally there is a broad section of our training operators throughout Victoria that will be participating. This
is a pilot apprentice program, as I understand it. Do you know how long that pilot program goes for, Minister?
No, look, I don't. I don't know the details of that. Chris Evans hasn't shared that with me, but I've certainly had a look at what they're proposing by way of press release. And also, these are discussions I know that Victoria and New South Wales and Queensland have all been involved in, looking at alternative ways in which to bring people into those traditional trade areas, and also encouraging different pathways for older people into the trades, and recognition of prior learning, as this particular pilot program is based on, is certainly one of those ways we can improve pathways into trade.
Minister, we have to leave it there. Thank you, Minister Peter Hall. The time is 5:30.